Welcome to This is Baltimore 2, where we show you what's good in your Baltimore neighborhood. I'm your host, Odessa Rose, and today we are on the east side with Baltimore filmmaker, hairstylist, author, and radio host Teresa Davis.
You may not know her name, but chances are if you travel around Baltimore City, you've seen Teresa Davis. Teresa can be seen promoting or selling her novels.
Okay, Hysterectomy in the Hood is one of my really favorites. It was a tear-jerker. It made me laugh, it made me cry as I was writing it.
Shooting her independent films. Documenting events happening in Baltimore.
Yeah, y'all get that footage here. Hardest working director in the city, y'all.
When the merchants are closed, but they are in their businesses, making sure that their businesses are untouched.
That are being done, I know that there's room to create and to do more. So I'm very optimistic that we can bring those kinds of resources to bear on our cities.
Or you've heard her on the radio hosting her talk show.
Laying on the ground, or sleeping on a cardboard. It goes through me. It behooves me because, no one should have to live like that.
The multifaceted entrepreneur also creates fabulous hairstyles in her salon.
How you looking?
Good, looking good.
And booyah.
I've always had a hustle. I've always had insight to work. And I got that from my stepdad.
Teresa's first business venture was styling hair.
When I was small, I used to do my own hair. I used to do my sister's hair. And I did a good job. So it's like, I'm gonna go to hair school. Because when I got pregnant at an early age, my mother said you had to find out what you want to do. I was 15, trying to figure out what I wanted to do. So that was how I knew I was gonna be a hairstylist. I decided to go to hair school.
And it still pays the rent and helps to fund her other ventures.
That's my primary bill payer. That's what does it. And it's my craft. I still have a passion for it.
I don't type that while I pat.
Teresa's second business venture was writing, which had its roots in East Baltimore.
Did you know you were going to be a writer, or you just like to read? I didn't know I was going to be a writer until I turned 30 years old. I was 30 writing my first novel. And at this point I'm 47, but as a child, I always used to read novels. I used to play at the library on right across from the projects where we lived, and I used to sit in the library every day and go read. I was always an enthusiastic reader. I always wanted to read. And that's why when I grew up to be a writer and author myself, I think it was meant to be.
Reading helped shape how she perceived her surroundings.
I used to live at Douglas Court. Douglas Court is the projects. I thought it was somewhere special while I was living there until I turned, I think it was 5 or 6, and my mom had announced that we were moving. And I was like, we're moving. And it crushed me, like a weight on me. Like, we're moving. I have all my friends here. We're moving? Now, my siblings were a little more compliant with moving because they were like, they were older. My sister is like 13 months older than me. My brother, I think he's 2 years older than me. And they were looking forward to moving. They knew the situation we were in, living in the projects. And I was like, well, why are we leaving? I'm oblivious. I didn't know to what was going on. To me, it was like I was being torn away, like from a mother's womb. I liked living where I was. But when I moved here and I saw that park, and I saw the swings, and I saw the trees and the grass and the shrubs, I was like, yeah, we rich. Man, we rich. This whole entire time, we're still struggling. When you grew up in a project and you see a lot of concrete floors, and then you come here, you see you have carpet, you have hardwood floors, you have the greenery in the park. It was really nice, but I didn't know that it was still a struggle. And I remember my mom sitting on the end of the bed one day, and she was crying. So I'm like, Mom, why are you crying? She was like, you don't understand. I'm like, we're rich. And the more I said that we're rich, the more her tears began to just come down like a river. Because I was reminding her of the tough spot that we were in. Being faced with turn-off notices, being faced with rent due, It's just my dad working 2 and 3 jobs, trying to make just one bill. My mom working her jobs and trying to get home before we get out of school. It was tough. But it was a good feeling coming here. It was a new beginning for me, my family. It was away from the projects. My mother thought she was doing the greatest thing she could do, so we could raise up and come from a healthy place.
Hello everybody, this is Kelvin and you're watching This is Baltimore too.
Despite the challenges her family faced, Teresa's parents made certain that their children enjoyed their childhood.
One of the memories I had that come to mind most was when my dad, I wanted a skateboard. I used to love roller skating. I love skates. I love roller skating, skateboards. And I was like, I want a skateboard. And he sat outside and he made me this skateboard. And I was thrown. Like, he actually cut it out, carved it, he sanded it down, he put the wheels on it, and I was one of the best on the skateboards. That was like one of my fondest memories. And another memory that I remember was we had this hill. It's on Lakewood, and there's one on Kenwood. It's called Father Death. And it's when you're a child and you're so small, that hill seems to be a huge drop. But as an adult, it's just a regular hill. But Father Death, I used to challenge myself, and I used to go down Father Death on those skates, and I was all out on those skates, I tell you. That was one of the memories I had.
Teresa describes the relationship of her parents, Frank Davis, Arthur Bird, and Connie Bird.
We used to go fishing. My stepdad and I, we had a huge boat, and the boat used to sit right here. It was a huge speed boat, and it was the ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my life. Why is there a boat sitting right here? And anyone from Preston Street and Passage Park can tell you, there was a red boat sitting right here. And I was so embarrassed. Why do we have a boat? Not knowing that that was a great thing. And now I long to have a boat. One day I'll get one.
How often did you guys go on this boat?
We used to go on the boat like every weekend. It was good weather and it wasn't rough like winds. And I remember my mother saying to my dad, you better come back with my daughter. This is my stepdad. He raised me. And everyone around here thought Mr. Arthur P. Bird was my dad. And he was my dad. Him and my biological dad, they had an awesome relationship. And it takes more than one person to raise a child. And I come from a home of that. I'm like, I don't see the dysfunctional, I don't look at that as normal. We should all get along. You know, we should all be able to help out and put, a village to raise a child.
Who had the biggest impact on your life growing up here?
My mother, God rest her soul, she died in 2004, Connie Bird, Barbara Bird. If you know her, to know her is to love her. Everyone around here came to my mother for advice, which really broke my heart because she was an open type person, the affectionate mother. And there was one particular child, she used to live right at the end of this block, and she used to come and sit on my mother's lap. And I used to be like, why don't she go home? But my mother would say, everyone doesn't have love and affection in their homes. And I had to learn that early. I was jealous. Why are you sitting on my mother's lap? So, and it's no wonder I grew up to love a lot of my son's friends. They've all stayed in my home and, to nurture them as a parent. And I always say, I don't like kids. Get out of my face. But I've always had them swarming around me. It's the reason why.
Learned it early.
Yeah.
Learned it from mom.
Yeah.
Teresa talks about the challenges and changes she experienced in her life.
I hear that you did a lot of defending yourself in this area.
I like how you put it.
First of all, why did you have to defend yourself so much? And what kind of trouble did that get you into?
This is funny. When you're coming from the hood and you're coming from the inner city, you're coming from where there are a lot of underprivileged people, you're going to have to earn your right. You got to be able to knock it out. So when I was living in the projects, of course, there's a lot of fighting down there. My sister used to fight for me down there in the projects because she was older than me. And then came my brother. He used to finish everything off. But I was always taught never to start anything. So when I got to the city, when I got to this part of the city, East Side, Preston Street, Patterson Park, there were some challenges. You're going to be challenged. You're going to be tried, if you want to put it that way. And I never started stuff, but I will finish it. And then when I was in school, there were a few bullies. they used to pick on people that I thought were really cool people. And they probably watching this now and they'll tell you that I used to fight for them because I don't like that. So I changed my ways, I changed my life, I changed my temper, which you have to work on your temper. And I don't fight anymore. I'm more focused on what I'm doing in life. And of course it comes with your temper, it comes with maturity, and it comes with having God and moving forward. And I often find myself forgiving people within myself, and I don't have to worry about that stuff.
I was going to ask what made you change.
So that's some of the entities that make me change. And wanting more for my family, and my friends, wanting more for people in my life, in my circle. You don't have to be so combative to get a solution. I usually kill people in my books anyway.
Hi, Baltimore. This is Valerie, and you're watching This is Baltimore 2.
Perhaps the biggest challenge Teresa faced was becoming a teen parent.
Everyone needs to come. Even the guys came to my mother for advice. How to wear a condom. I said, Ma, you can't tell them people that. You can't tell them about sex. She was like, they gonna learn. And then the funniest thing I remember her saying is, if you don't have a condom, you put it on the bread wrapper. I thought that was funny. Whenever you're ready to have sex, come talk to me. I just couldn't do it. I just went ahead and did it, and that's how I got pregnant. Sitting on the steps wondering, how was I gonna tell my mom I was pregnant? Like, how can I divulge that secret? I held that secret for 5 months. I didn't know how to tell her I was pregnant. And I crushed her heart. My mom said, you're gonna have the baby if that's what you wanna do. And I chose to have my son. He is now 32. And he's doing really good. He's an actor as well. He plays in a lot of my movies. His name is Stephen Kelly. And I have 3 grandchildren. But it was tough being a teen parent. I went to Paquin for the pregnant women school, teens. So, of course, I had to move around a little bit to fit what was going on in my life. So, at Paquin, Dr. Stiff, she was great, a great mentor to the young women and young youth. She taught me to never give up. And I was surrounded with other women with bellies protruding, and ankles swollen. We all looked alike. We all came from the same place. So I knew I could get through anything. But to every teen parent, or every young parent, there is a way. Just keep working, don't quit, believe in yourself, believe in your dreams, and be the best parent you can be, whether you're male or female. And don't give up fast. If you're a couple, you have a young child, work hard together, you know what I'm saying? But that was my push, my reason, my drive was my child, to never give up. I think that everything happens for a reason.
Teresa explains how her life experience helped grow her as a writer.
I had to go to an alternative school, which was at the time called Hartford Institute. And it was there I met one of the greatest English teachers that I've ever came across. Her name is Miss Sheldon. I'll never forget her. She's definitely an inspiration. Shout out to her today. She was the influence on my writing. She was the reason I continued to write. She always told me my stories were fantastic. So because of her, I started picking up the writing.
The things Teresa saw taking place in her neighborhood served as the basis for her novels.
I was mostly on this step, just like this, all the time. Just taking in what was happening. I remember when I was 15 and someone gave me a Donald Goines book. And I stayed in the house day in and day out reading all his novels. He had, I think it was 18 books. A Black Girl Lost was one of my favorites. Dauphine was another one of my favorites. So as I began to read all his novels, I knew that I could do this. I could write. And then I just started writing.
What around here inspired some of your novels?
Wow. Now I know this is gonna jolt you a little bit, but the drug use, the darkness, the murder, the sex, it was dark, but it was inviting. It was to cure your curiosity. Instead of me being a part of it, I began to be on the outside looking in and writing it. And so now I'm 5 novels in, and I have 5 more waiting. One that I wrote along with my husband, Christopher Brown, and it's called Pistol Whip. We collaborate together, and that's an awesome book. So.
Hello, Baltimore. I'm from Polly. You're watching This is Baltimore 2.
Teresa's entrepreneurial spirit has taken her into filmmaking.
Please, a story written by Teresa Davis.
These novels right here, this one is the first one I ever wrote. Ghetto Misery Uncut. I wanted to film it and turn it into a movie. So that's what I did. I'm almost done filming this. It's a 3-year project. Sometimes it was summertime scenes, and other times we had to pretend it was summer because it's a summer-based movie. So this is how I got into filming. One day I was so frustrated because some people work at the rate of their own. They don't have the drive and tenacity and the will that you may have, which nothing's wrong with that. So I wanted to learn how to do this so I can stop waiting on people. And then I was also intrigued with it too. And then I started filming. I'm learning every day though. But I like it. It's something I'm good at.
What is the most challenging part about being a filmmaker?
For me, it would be scheduling. Other than that, piece of cake. Because I don't know, but God just gives me the locations. He gives me the people. They're driven and they're excited. They're enthusiastic about doing it. There are a lot of people who work with me. I can name a lot. Tony Luck, Gregory Crosby, Dee Brown, my son Stephen Kelly, Michael Swan, Tamala Goins, Tina Kelly, Sakita Journer. I don't want to leave anyone out, but there's Vivian Megason. There are so many who have worked with me who still have that same drive from day one. Then you know who you are. There's lots of them out there that work with me, and they just have that driven about themselves. They're just driven. So that makes me want to work harder too.
I'm fortunate to have one of the best director of the year because she gives me roles that comes natural to me. So I haven't had to play a guy that work at some spot or something that I never did before. So the roles that she give me, or that Hazy TV, shout out to him, give me, some of these roles come natural to me. So it's like, this is what you're gonna do. Do it your way. Like, just be you. Just be natural if you was in a situation.
Because we grew up in the same neighborhood, so the habitat that we grew up in, he sees this type of stuff. He sees it every day. So we can pretend that we can emulate that. We see it every day.
A lot of your films deal with the drug culture.
Mm-hmm.
Do you at any time feel that you are promoting or glamorizing that life?
No, I don't feel like that I'm glamorizing drug use or people on drugs when I do my films. I feel like I'm bringing it a whole new light so you can see what our inner city people go through. You can see what a recovering family, not just a recovering addict, the recovering family, because it bothers the entire family. I have people in my family who's used drugs and it bothered us as a whole. If you love each other, it should. Nothing to shun upon, but to embrace. I've had someone exactly come at me on Facebook and say, why are you doing this? Why aren't you talking about this, that, and the third? And my answer to them distinctly was, I only talk about what I know. I don't overreach, because then I'm not authentic. I talk about what I know, what I've seen, what I've gone through, what I've known my loved ones to go through.
What message are you trying to send with your films?
A lot of them have closure for the recovering addict, for the drug dealer himself, for the drug dealer who wants to quit. It has closure. It's full circle. There's a meaning for everything. So I bring that to you and I show you the truth, the grit. I never apologize for it.
Hey Baltimore, this is K2 and you're watching This is Baltimore 2.
The unrest here in Baltimore, I had the chance to film and capture some of the history. So what I did was I waited for the right time to go out with my cameras and film when it was safe, safety first. And I got some really good touching footage from Baltimore. The Freddie Grays, I'm Riot, I'm Rap. You know, as right now we are shooting the 12 O'Clock Boys documentary part 2. I think they're going to change the name. I don't know what they're going to call it, but that's what we're filming now with Biker Boy Pug, and he has really grown a lot. The first one shows him being a 13-year-old adolescent, and now we're showing him as he grew up to be an 18-year-old young adult. So we're really excited about the bike life. A lot of people here in Baltimore are doing their rendition of bike life, but I think we have one of the toughest ones because he is one of the first youngest bike riders here. So we're bringing on the charm with this one. And we're showing him as he grows up, and we're showing his family, his siblings.
Slope, Little Mama.
And Pug. And Mikey. Oh, God.
Little Mike. Don't forget about Mikey.
Oh, you can't forget Little Mikey. He's such a character. Man. I think he needs his own movie. So, yeah, we're having a really good time filming him.
That's my man, though. That's my man.
And we show how he matured, how he rides the bike effortlessly now, you know, as opposed to when he first started riding. And we're showing some of the things like him going to school, how the kids get along, and just showing some culture in their family as opposed to what you saw in the first one.
And if I could just touch on what she just said, like, boy, I got so close to Pug and his siblings, and there's more to it. And I really appreciate what you're doing with this 12 O'Clock Boys Part 2 because I watched Part 1, and all I saw was you riding your bike and you talking street talk, you know, cussing and street dude. But now I see the potential they all got in them as individuals. Like, it's so much talent within that one family, but it takes someone to bring it out of them so you can actually see it. And I believe that's what you're doing with them. You're bringing it out. And Pug is a very intelligent young kid. Like, he got a lot of swag.
He's fascinating.
Only thing about Pug, if you want to talk to Pug, don't bring a bike out. Once you bring a bike out, that's it.
Dialogue's over. He's riding.
That's it. Pug gone on his bike.
He's riding.
But I think, like, big shout outs to Coco and the family. I mean, and like I said, I think Teresa really bringing the talent out of them. Well, actually showing them what they have inside of them.
Showing a totally different light.
Yeah.
There's so much more that you can bring forth with this family. And they all have their special ways in their own right.
Teresa's radio show highlights Baltimore's entertainment scene.
How did you go from hairstylist, author, to radio hostess?
How did I go from hairstylist to author to radio hostess? I was on a show called YouHaveToListen.com. The owner of the show interviewed me on the show, talking about what I do, also filming and being an author. And I got a call 2 weeks later asking that I want my own segment. And I was like, this guy got it all? Does he know what he's asking me? So I was like, I don't know. And at the time I was working with Kane Cole. I can't forget about Kane Cole. He and I filmed a lot of projects together. The Last Laugh, Umbilical Cord, even Percocet we worked on together. And he was like, do you guys want to be on the show? But at this particular time, Kane Cole had an accident with his leg. He was sick. So I said, okay, I'll do it. So what happened was Kane Cole came on as a guest host a lot when he got better. But I ended up doing the show. I've been doing the show some years, some months now. I said, yeah, I'll take the show. So I named it Teresa Davis Speaks, and you listen. And I've been there ever since. I think I belonged in radio, though. I always wanted to do it anyway, so that was another plus.
You know, she got an award. It's all up on the counter right here.
Yeah.
This old nice award right here.
Yeah. Last year, you won Best Film Director of the Year, right? How did you feel when you won that award?
I was so excited. My knees buckled, and you would have thought I had the Holy Ghost. And I'll tell you, I was like I was talking in tongue. I was just excited, not only for myself, but because I always wanted to show my team that we can do it. And I think that was a little piece of we can do it for them. I just did. Because I always tell them, we can do it. I always preach to them, you can do whatever you want to do. So it felt good for me. It was a good feeling winning the award, the Titan Arts Awards, Best Filmmaker of 2014. And now I'm actually nominated for Best 2015 Best Film Director, also in the Best Film for The Last Laugh. So I'm in 2 categories, and it is an exciting feeling to know that
6 of my team members are up for Best Actress and Best Actresses. So that is a good accomplished goal for myself. Everybody wants a certain amount of validation. They like to say that. But I like it. It made my teammates feel a certain amount of validation. And it felt good just to be known that, yes, someone recognized my work. Yes. Yes, I felt good. And I feel good talking about it. Yes, I did. It felt great when I had my husband beside me, when they called my name, and they had my son and my daughter-in-law and some of my team members. I thought it was the best.
If my mother, Connie Bird, was still living, I'd get it to her. But it's in my heart. You know how it is, man. You told me never stop, never quit. Teresa Davis, you always keep pushing me. I love my family, man. Hey, I can't believe it. They got the right name. They spelled it right. It must be me. I'm out. Hey, I love you, Baltimore. Love you, Baltimore City.
I could dream a book up. Tonight, wake up with a whole book. So, yeah, well, we filmed a movie while we was on vacation. Stop the killing. It's what we need to happen in Baltimore. With God's blessing, I can keep going forward. Without my cast members, I couldn't do any of this. I'm teaching you, too, but I'm giving you a bit of the street. Always invent yourself. And I was always taught to create yourself. Over and over and over. If you're in a situation, create a way out. And that's what I do.
Well, that's it for today's show. Thank you for joining us, and please tune in again so we can show you what's good in your Baltimore neighborhood.